Hey guys, it's Dan, and I am back with another VDL match this week. This week we are going up against Taco and the Massachusetts Manitans. So, looking at the team sheets here, he's bringing pretty much what I expected. He also has a Thunderous Incarnate on his team. I didn't really think it looked great into my roster this week. I thought the Runerigus had a decent chance of coming, but I understand with Arctivish and Rillaboom, it might not be his best one, so he brought the Sigilif for speed control options as well. But otherwise, this is looking pretty standard. Celesteela is the main problem, so I've got a special Silvally for it this week, which looks really, really good. Rillaboom seems decent into a lot of his team. And yeah, I guess we're just going to go ahead and dive into it, into game one here. Quality player card there, so appreciate the effort put in. So if we look at the leads, we can see that he's got the Azumarill and the Tangrowth. This lead makes me think that it's a Bellydrum Azumarill set, and he was planning on redirecting into Tangrowth to get it set up, but that plan goes majorly downhill with this Rillaboom lead from me. So here I think he's going to have... He probably needs to switch out the Azumarill or he just dies to a Grassy Glide. So my thought is if he's going to do that, he's probably going to try to put the Silvally to sleep. So I just want to fake out and Flamethrower this Tangrowth, which should then put it in KO range next turn, and then Silvally can avoid sleep. Because I don't think this Azumarill can stay in, and this way I just avoid Sleep Powder shenanigans, since he knows that I can't have the safety goggles on the Silvally. It does not Rage Powder, and the Azumarill stays in. So, and the Azumarill just goes for an Aqua Jet. So I guess he was trying to sack it, because it definitely looks like a Bellydrum Azumarill. That's not 252 with huge power. Like, it just couldn't be. And then this Tangrowth goes into borderline KO range off of a Flamethrower next turn. Very, very borderline. But if he's just going to leave this Azumarill in, I'm just going to Grassy Glide it, because why wouldn't I? That's... yeah, it's just an easy KO. Especially now that it looks like he might leave it in, and it looks like a Bellydrum set. Like, based on that damage, he's not maxed out, obviously. And it's just a pretty... I guess it's just a straightforward turn for me. I Flamethrower the Tangrowth again, and then I just try to kill the Azumarill if he keeps it in. Like, he has to switch it out this turn. Like, that's where I'm at mentally, is that it has to come out. Except that it's Sap Sipper, which explains the low damage output. And honestly, I wasn't even thinking that Sap Sipper was a potential option. So he's Aqua Jetting again into the Silvally. Does more because I just gave him an attack boost. Flamethrower comes into the Tangrowth, doesn't quite pick up the kill, and then has Stomping Tantrum, so it's an offensive Tangrowth. Suddenly I'm in some more danger, because although Heatran has Power Herb Solar Beam for this Azumarill, and then I have Rillaboom for the Azumarill, Sap Sipper Azumarill, Silvally was my best answer, except for Latios with Thunderbolt. So now I have to figure out a way to get a Thunderbolt off safely into this Azumarill. And I still assume this Tangrowth has Rage Powder, because it kind of needs it against my team. So at this point I'm just like, okay, let's Grassy Glide the Tangrowth, because that'll kill it. And then I can just Thunderbolt this Azumarill to start chunking it down. I know this isn't going to be a KO, but he also isn't going to KO me without huge power, because even if he goes for a Play Rough, he's only +1 Sap Sipper, which is less than a normal huge power set. He just switches in the Absol directly into a Grassy Glide, and Absol has a bad day. So I'm feeling pretty decent at this point. I throw out a Thunderbolt, and he ice punches into the Rillaboom, which does a decent chunk, but I should still be fine. Oh, I'm frozen. Never mind. So the freeze is unfortunate. It's gonna delay some of my ability to hit him, especially if, as I believe, he was trying to pivot into a way to protect this Azumarill. So if the Tangrowth comes out again, I'm going to believe that it has Rage Powder, and that's really his plan because it's got 3 Generator, so now I'm not just killing it. The play here is probably Psychic the Tangrowth, but it's not a guaranteed KO, is the thing. At this range, based on the bulk he's been showing, Psychic isn't a guaranteed KO, and I don't want to use my Roselli Berry and then have Tangrowth still be alive and potentially have Rillaboom frozen. That just seems like the worst of all worlds. So I'm just going to see if Rillaboom potentially thaws. Woodhammer could pick up this KO in terrain, and then I get, because he seems more specially defensive than physically defensive, invested. And then I get the Heatran out. And then he Sap Sippers to boost his own Azumarill. Okay. So now it's decent output at +2. I'm frozen. And he's going to Ice Punch my Heatran. So this is going to leave me in a decent position moving. Never mind, it's not. So now I've got 2 frozen Pokemon on the field. Yeah, so only so much you can do in that situation. Because that switch, I still stand by, was right, and if he was going to freeze something in that slot, I'd actually rather it be the Heatran. So here, I would love to break free and just launch a Heat Wave, because I know that the Stomping Tantrum isn't quite going to be enough to just pick up the KO. I do break free. Woodhammer was no longer in KO range onto that. Heatran stays frozen, unfortunately. Stomping Tantrum comes out. And Heatran does go down. I thought it would survive, but he must have a lot more offensive investment than I thought he did. And then Ice Punch comes on out into the Rillaboom, doesn't quite pick up the KO, but of course it does. So yeah, there's... I think mistakes were made because I assumed this Tangrowth was more defensive than it actually ended up being, but also getting triple frozen 3 turns in a row on a 10% proc chance is rather unfortunate, but I'm still not out of it here. So if I can Woodhammer this Tangrowth, it could go down, and then I could potentially get some Thunderbolts off into this Azumarill. It's possible, and then I could also protect the Rillaboom, save it a turn, because I assume there's going to be an Aqua Jet that comes into it, because that would just take it out. And I do get the Thaw, which is nice. So I protect, the Thunderbolt comes out, it's going to do a decent chunk, and Poison Jab goes into the Rillaboom, and Ice Punch comes into Latios. So I guess Woodhammer would have been the better play there to try and pick up the KO and let Rillaboom go down that way. But here I could go for a double protect, or I could go for the Woodhammer again. Woodhammer last turn was probably the play, but here I need to take down this Azumarill via whatever means I can. But the Aqua Jet is going to come out. It's going to finish the Rillaboom. I am going to get this KO on the Azu, and then Tangrowth is going to be able to KO me. Basically, I thought my chance here was Tangrowth not picking up this KO, and then maybe something that can't really hit, Latios coming out, but wasn't a great chance at the end of that game, but it is what it is. So I lose game 1, and we can dive right into game 2. So going into game 2, my plan didn't feel bad. I just got frozen 3 times, which cost me 2 turns of attacking that I think would have been enough to swing the game for me, because the Tangrowth would have gone down, the Heatran would have been alive for whatever's in the back, and I would have had more health on the Rillaboom and Latios. So I could just go with the same thing and feel okay about it, but his team seems really soft to my Hail mode based on what I'm now seeing out of that Tangrowth set and the Azumarill set. So Vanillix Arctovish seems like a strong lead, and then I just need to figure out what I need in the back. The Silvally seems important if he brings the Celesteela, and also is my best way to hit that Azumarill that isn't freeze dry. And then here this is the last one's interesting decision. I go with Latios because, again, it hits that Azumarill while also hitting the Celesteela. As much as I would love to go with Heatran there, he's got a lot of Heatran potential counters. So I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this set here. And now here's the lead here. I hopefully don't see a Celesteela lead. And I see the Toxicroak Absol. Okay. So we can get behind this. Something's going to get faked out, and then Absol's going to attack into it. Absol can pick up the KO pretty easily on the Vanillix. But even a crit Night Slash doesn't necessarily KO the Arctovish, which is nice. Arctovish has a decent amount of bulk. But I have to decide, do I want to protect the Arctovish, or do I want to attack with both? And because it's Choice Scarf Vanillix. So I decide to attack with both here. Because if I protect with Arctovish and he just KOs the Vanillix, I'm having a pretty bad day. But if I attack with both, I'm having a substantially better day. Even if he double attacks into the Vanillix, because I'll still have an attack coming out with this Arctovish. He should take out the Vanillix probably here. Then the Absol uses Close Combat. He doesn't get the crit, so I survive it as if it was a crit Night Slash, which is going to be pretty similar in damage calcs, I believe. So I flinch, and that's a Scarf Absol because it was outspeeding me in the hail. But I get a Blizzard KO on the Absol. The Toxapex, but the Toxicroak is looking considerably worse for wear, and I can just click Blizzard again. So we're just going to click Blizzard again, and then we're going to Vicious Rend into the Celesteela, which is going to absolutely chunk this thing. And then Blizzard probably picks up the KO on it, unless it is super, super, super bulky against physical attacks. Because otherwise, this will just take it into Blizzard range. So no, I just get a Vicious Rend off, then I get a Scarf Blizzard off. And I pick up a double KO, and then we've got a 4v1 coming up with whatever he's got in the back. And it is the Tangrowth. So I'm just going to Blizzard it. And then because I'm curious about the damage calc, I'm going to Icicle Crash it. This might be relevant for Game 3. I don't think this is revealing too much information that I have Icicle Crash on the set. I guess it reveals I'm not Choice, but from the damage calcs and the speeds, he should know that. And seeing that it does more than half is very nice, and then Blizzard just obviously going to pick up the KO on the Tangrowth. And we're going to move into Game 3 with just a nice little Hailwind there, and I'll be right back for Game 3. So, moving into Game 3. What I'm expecting here is something that answers the Vanillix Arctovish, and I don't really see what it is on his team because that lead's just looking rough for him. I do think potentially Sigilif, if he's able to protect it for a turn, could get up a Tailwind, which looks decent. But even then, I'll have Latios with Tailwind to match it in the back. And then Latios Silvally looks really good into a lot of his team if it's some sort of Sigilif Celesteela stuff. So that's what I'm thinking here, is why I'm going to go with Latios over Rillaboom and Heatran again. But I guess we'll look into it and see what goes on. I do give a really long thought to Heatran here, but I do think being able to match a Sigilif Tailwind is going to be good here. Sigilif could also go for Trick Room, but based on his team, that seems a little less likely to me. It could still be a problem. A Celesteela under Trick Room is pretty decent into my team. I can't lie about that. So we've got the Toxicroak and the Sigilif that come out. I'm guessing he's just gonna fake out and then set speed control one way or another. Again, my guess is that it's gonna be a Tailwind, but it could also be a Trick Room. But there's not too much I can do about it. I just click Blizzard and then I attack into the Toxicroak because I don't want to attack into the Sigilif and just let the Toxicroak get a free Life Orb close combat off, because that will kill the Arctivish, and then I'll be in a bit worse of a position if he's got Tailwind up. So I assume Tailwind's going up, and then we're just gonna go for the KO into this Toxicroak. I don't know if Vicious Rend KOs because it's Anticipation and not Water Absorb, or whatever the Dry Skin is, and I was really expecting the water immunity there. So I didn't know that calc off the top of my head, which might have been better for a potential switch in, but I'm okay with this. Down goes the Toxicroak. If I knew it was going to fake out, I probably would have tried to pick up the KO on this Sigilif, but I still don't feel awful about it. But it is Trick Room and not Tailwind. So I'm going to be at a bit of a speed disadvantage here, but again, this doesn't feel like the worst thing in the world. If this is a physical Celesteela, it could be very bad very quickly. However, if this is a special Celesteela, I don't really care about this, I don't think, as much, because he's not going to be able to pick up a KO right away. So I'm just going to go for a Blizzard, because, you know, I kind of have to. I don't want to switch something into this Celesteela until I know what the set is, and then I can just pick up a KO on... I can just guarantee the KO on this Sigilif here as well. So he can only kill one thing, and he's going to choose to kill nothing because he's going for an Air Slash instead of a Steel type move. Heavy Slam would have been great, but it's a special set, so Flash Cannon into the Vanillix is probably great. But under Trick Room, I just launch a Blizzard, which really chunks that Sigilif. I am going to end up flinching here because it was a decent chance with 2 Air Slashes hitting, but now I'm considerably less annoyed by this Trick Room. Because I'll be able to protect the Arctivish this turn because he showed that he wants to target it down, and then I should just get another Blizzard assuming the Celesteela goes into the Arctivish again, because it really wants to, and I haven't showed Protect on Arctivish, and I haven't run Protect on Arctivish super consistently this season. With what I have in the back, I could make a switch in here, and a switch into Silvally at some point feels like it could be right, but that point is not yet. So I'm just going to Protect here, hopefully eat an attack or two into this Arctivish, and just get another Blizzard off. Flash Cannon comes out, but it was into the Arctivish. Air Slash comes out, so he could flinch me here, which would be annoying, but I don't flinch. I launch another Blizzard. Sigilif goes down, Celesteela falls into Blizzard range, and now I've got some decision making to meet. So I've got I've got to see what he has in the back here. But if it's something, yeah. So it's the Tangrowth. So late game, I want to put this Vanillix in when it's not under Trick Room, because I just win that. Because I can kill the Celesteela from the range it's at, and anything else can kill this Tangrowth. So the plan here is to let the Arctivish go down and preserve this Vanillix, because I want the Vanillix late game. So we're just going to launch an attack into the Celesteela, understanding that Arctivish probably goes down here, but there's not really a great attack into the Vanillix that also hits the Latios. Like, yeah, that's fine. Flash Cannon comes on out, goes into the Arctivish. Arctivish will go down. And now I just have to stall one more turn of Trick Room. His special attack does go up, so it's threatening to a lot of things right now. But, again, positioning-wise, this is very, very good for me. Silvali's going to come on out. And defensively, I'm in a pretty good position. I understand he's got a ground type move on the Tangrowth, but I don't super care about that because I can just double target into this Celesteela with Thunderbolt. If he has Rage Powder, he has to use it right here, but even then, that puts the Tangrowth in range where the Blizzard will be what takes it out even if something goes down here because Trick Room is ending. So, I'm happy with every part of this. Stomping Tantrum comes on out, chunks the Silvally a bit. Air Slash comes on out, chunks but doesn't kill the Latios. I launch one Thunderbolt, and the Celesteela goes down. So I should win this game. Even with that flinch there, Hail is stopped, so I do have that Vanillix switch in late game. So I just need a little bit of damage on this Tangrowth with these two things before they both die, and Tangrowth wins. So just Ice Beam Flamethrower. Ice Beam Flamethrower feels so easy here. I do know he has the Aqua Berry, but it's not going to matter. This Flamethrower should just be able to pick up the KO through the Aqua Berry, and that will be the set for me. So, good game to Taco. I know I got a little bit unlucky game one, but I was able to avoid tilt, played pretty cleanly the rest of the set, and picked up the win this week. So, I'm having a lot of fun this season, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.